What's going on, guys? ZiggaBlaze here, back with episode 4 of my Black Ops 3 Specialist Guide series. Today we're going to be covering Battery, the last character unlocked at level 1 right out of the gate. Battery's specialist ability is the Kinetic Armor. This is reactive armor that deflects bullet damage to the body, but still leaves you vulnerable to headshots, melee, explosives, and some other score streaks. At first, I found myself having a very difficult time using the Kinetic Armor wisely and using it in good situations. Because it only lasts a few seconds, it's very difficult to choose when you need to pull the armor out so that you don't take as much bullet damage as you usually would. In all honesty, I struggled to find any real good use for this Kinetic Armor in core mode that would outshine any of the other specialist abilities. However, there is a place where Kinetic Armor really shines, and that is in hardcore mode. Because in hardcore mode you can only take 1 to 2 bullets of damage at absolute max, Kinetic Armor deflecting bullet damage is very useful and can help you win a lot of gunfights. In hardcore mode, it's very effective to play passively, and most players do play a more campy playstyle, so using the Kinetic Armor allows you to play much more aggressively and go against your opponents. I found when I knew that there was going to be a gunfight coming up, when I took corners, if I popped that Kinetic Armor, I had a very high chance of winning the gunfight, unless I got shot in the head or meleeed. But in a one-on-one gunfight, when your enemy can only deal damage to your head or melee you, and you can just shoot them directly, you'll win the gunfight almost all the time. I found myself only losing gunfights if the enemy player was very good and accurate at shooting for the head. This will also allow you to take on multiple enemies in hardcore mode, which isn't really a possibility when you're not using Kinetic Armor. If you're someone who enjoys hardcore mode, I would recommend this ability. And if you're someone new to hardcore and you'd like to try it out, I would very much recommend Kinetic Armor because it allows you to take more time to get your shots on target without having to worry about the enemy taking you out first. There were no perks that I found necessary to use when running the Kinetic Armor, however there were 2 score streaks that I found very useful, and those were the UAV and the Hater. These will both allow you to see your enemies on the minimap and will give you that edge and let you know when you should use your Kinetic Armor opposed to just randomly popping it. Now Battery's specialist weapon is the War Machine, which is very similar to the War Machine in Black Ops 2, but has some slight differences. It's a launcher that fires bouncing grenades that detonate after a short time or on contact with enemies. Now as for damage goes, when it comes to the specialist weapons, I found this to be one that was lacking. For long range shots, I found myself trying to lob grenades across the map with the War Machine, and most of the time it ended up getting me killed, and I would get maybe 1 to 2 kills if I were lucky. Now in the right hands, it can be used for objective gameplay, and it could deal really good damage to the enemies if they're on objectives and they're clumped together, but I just found it very hard to use compared to some of the other specialist weapons. However, there is a game mode where the War Machine shines, and that is Safeguard. Because in Safeguard, multiple players are going to be moving with the objective, which happens to be the robot that you have to escort across the map, the War Machine comes in handy for playing both the objective and getting large amounts of multi-kills. I found when using the War Machine against the robot, it took it out faster than most of the other specialist weapons and abilities would. Because the grenades have a wide range and bounce towards the robot, as you're doing damage to the robot, you're also killing enemies that are escorting him because they're walking around the robot and have to be very close to him. If you're someone that likes your win-loss ratio and enjoys the Safeguard game mode, there is nothing else that I would recommend more highly than the War Machine, as it is superior to all of the other specialist weapons when it comes to doing damage to the robot and killing opponents. After playing with Battery for an extended amount of time in-game, probably the most time out of any of the specialists I've had to use because it took me a lot to get all these clips, I found that in core modes, 9 times out of 10, the Kinetic Armor is outshined by the glitch ability. Kinetic Armor will save your life in some cases when it comes to gunfights, but I found the glitch to be way more useful in core because you can take a few bullets before you can pop the ability and be out of a situation. The Kinetic Armor doesn't really get you out of any situation as much as it just helps you take a few more bullets worth of damage. But it is a much more viable option in hardcore because with the glitch ability, you would be killed before you had the chance to pop it most of the time, and the Kinetic Armor you can use in a gunfight. As for the War Machine, I didn't find it to be as powerful as some of the other specialist weapons, and it has a long draw time when you pull it out, because you have to spin the barrel of the War Machine, and I really only found it to be useful in the Safeguard game mode. My specialist rating for Battery is a low 13 out of 30. With 6 points going into objective play, because although it did shine in Safeguard, I found that in most other game modes, it just wasn't viable to use, and I got killed on the objective a lot of the time before I could actually get it out to do any work with it. A 5 going into kill potential, because once again, in the safeguard game mode, I got a lot of multi-kills when it came to doubles and triples, and even occasionally I get a few 4 pieces, but it's really not that useful in other game modes, and there's other specialist weapons that are much more accurate and kill much faster. And a 2 out of 10 going into fun factor, because I did not have an enjoyable time using this. I found it to be, out of the 4 main characters that you can choose off the bat, to be the most useless one of the 4, and I did not enjoy it. So yes, this is going to wrap up the 4th episode of the Black Ops 3 Specialist Guide series. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and comment below on what your favorite specialist is and which one you're excited to see me review in the future. And stick around next time where we are going to be covering Seraph. And as always, I'll see all of you beautiful faces tomorrow. Peace out, guys.